Welcome back, everyone, and happy Sunday. As promised, I am going to talk about the time I saw myself as a celestial body. I like to call this moment light bodies. If you are familiar with my Substack, then you may have seen my post about this time that I had a meditative vision, seeing myself as a light body. So I'll just dive right in. So one of my other sessions where I have seen a vision in the midst of my meditation was during a very challenging time in my life. I was stressed out, and in the middle of my search for peace and serenity, the only thing I could do was meditate to halt my mind from constant stress and worry. I decided to sit in my bar height chair that was placed in a corner of my room because I wanted to try a new place to meditate instead of sitting in the dark bathroom where I usually sat in efforts to block out my other senses. So I pulled my chair into the center of my room as best I could and faced the windows. I decided that for a change, I would stay in my brightly lit room. And my room at that time had two very large windows where I kept many of my plants. And during the afternoon hours, the room was provided with tons of bright light. I made sure to have the high chair, of course, face the sun because I wanted to feel its warmth on my face. I finally was able to find the quiet space in my mind after a few moments of having my eyes closed and sitting in silence. And what I was searching for, I had immediately found because I was no longer in my room. I immediately saw my left arm and hand reaching up and being received by another arm and hand, gently pulling me upwards. However, our bodies were not made up of flesh and bone. I could make out that besides the wrist and my hand being received by another wrist and hand, I could tell we were both adorning robes. Although I could recognize myself, another being, and what looked like our clothing, there was no visible differentiation of our bodies in relation to our fabric. So, in other words, everything was made of this uh, starlight. Our hands, our wrists, and our clothing. Uh, there was no separation, no clear separation between the two nor one another. It was illuminated all the same. All of myself and my helper self was illuminated, but not by an outside source of light. It seemed to me that this is what we are. We were made of light. The entire essence of our beings shimmered like multifaceted diamonds on its own. I was viewing up close the kind of bright light that our own naked eyes would need protective glasses for. It looked like we were made completely out of diamonds, the way we shimmered. I say diamonds because of the way we constantly reflected light from every inch of ourselves. I'm trying my best to describe this. It is just so beautiful. Um, to date, this is the most beautiful vision I've ever had, honestly. Not just by the side of us, but how peaceful and safe I honestly felt. I now see it as a sign of the help that I was pleading for desperately. This being who reached out, found me, and lifted me up in my time of need was sent to comfort me. As I was in a situation where I was losing everything and felt very much alone, I didn't have to ask. I was seen, I was known, and loved very much so already. I have obviously survived that trying time, as in hindsight we normally do, but I will always remember this moment as a deep knowing to who and what I am. This not only applies to me, but honestly, my belief of us all, that our true essence is made up of light, that we are loved, and more profoundly, even in the midst of great sorrow, we are never really alone. Thank you all for joining me this week. Next week, I'll talk about the time I saw myself in multiple carnations all at once from afar. Um, that one was truly special, and I hope to see you then. Talk to you later. I hope everyone has a great week. Bye bye.